This weekend, Virginia International Raceway and the Sports Car Club of America combined to form a mecca for lovers of sports car racing. Almost 500 drivers in over 20 classes will do battle in a race for the gold. Since 1964, SCCA has been crowning national champions at its annual runoffs, the peak of the Summit Racing Equipment SCCA road racing program. For the second straight year, welcome to the track that Paul Newman once called Heaven on Earth, for the historic 60th annual SCCA Runoffs. Welcome, everybody, to an absolutely glorious morning here at the beautiful Virginia International Raceway as we are in our third and final Hagerty Race Day for the 60th running of the SCCA National Championship Runoffs. Today, it is the Run for the Gold in Formula 600. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer, and I'm joined by Larry McLeod. And we are joined down in the pit lane by Hayward Wagner. And Hayward, this track and these cars always makes for something interesting. I like to call these Formula 600 cars the pocket rockets. They are small cars, but they are wickedly fast. And Hayward, they are always immensely entertaining.
Absolutely, Greg. We've got 9 of them on the grid this year. Even mix more or less between the cars that have the bike motor, the 600cc bike motor and a 6-speed transmission. Those cars are going to make a really familiar sound for people that know what bikes sound like and whatnot. The other cars have the more historic power plant, the snowmobile engines, belt-driven, centrifugal clutch. They tend to hold a solid RPM, staying right in that power band the whole time. You'll notice that this year, every car on the grid has the big wide nose on it. A couple years ago, it was a mix of cars that ran the point nose. Now everybody's running the more aero package nose. Here's your stat of the class. You ready, guys? There are 9 cars in this class. The minimum weights are 900 for the bike motor and 875 for the snowmobile motor. That means that there is 8,000 pounds of car in this race, which is slightly less than the average weight of the trucks that got them here.
That's a really good point. When you think about the weight of these cars, that number would make up maybe 3 or 4 of our tin top cars. And these guys are. It's such a show because you drive these cars a bit differently than you do a regular car for a variety of reasons, especially the cars with that centrifugal clutch in it, and it makes it interesting. So, Larry, let's take a look here at our Mazda track map, and you've got a lot of experience in karting and cars similar to this. How are they going to have to deal with this long track?
Yeah, the cars handle very differently than a lot of things you'll see out here. And as they go down through turn 1, you're going to see them kind of tracking a little bit of a crab walk almost, because they got to get that little bit of slide through that horseshoe, coming around through NASCAR and then into turn 4. They may not be using as much curb as some of the other classes because the suspension they do have when it just doesn't move very much as they run through the snake and then down underneath the bridge through the climbing S's. They'll use a little curb there. They are going to be so fast around turn 10 South Bend, but they're going to have to woe this down, and it's a treacherous breaking point down into 11 and then ultimately 12 where they come off of Oak Tree. Down this back straight, approaching 140 miles an hour, about a half an inch off the ground, all the way up to the top of the roller coaster, turn 14. And again, they're going to try and avoid those curbs down the roller coaster and around Hog Pen, and then they'll be screaming down that front straight again, closing in on mid 130 mile an hour. It is fast. Really
quick, and the other thing is they're very short wheelbase, obviously. So like through a turn 10, where you might want that little longer wheelbase here, when these cars let go, they just spin like tops. Yeah. And so they are on top of the wheel all the time in these cars because they are so quick.
And this morning, I'd say there's a good heavy dew in the grass this morning. These cars do not want to see any sort of grass. No foliage for these guys. They want to stay on the tarmac because they will go a very, very, very long way if they put these things in the grass. It's going to be fascinating. Still a little bit chilly out there this morning. Got tire temps are an issue. You're going to be seeing a lot of weaving, a lot of warming to get these things ready to go for that opening lap.
You just saw there Calvin Stewart, your pole sitter, doing some serious visualization inside that car, just trying to get into the rhythm early. And that really can help, get you in the zone even before you get out on the track, doesn't it?
Yeah, you definitely need to. You really got to have a good sense of where you want to go. You want to have a plan, and I think that's right now what Cal is doing. He's got his plan, visualizing the first couple of corners, probably thinking, how is the handling going to be the first time you turn the wheel at speed going into one, and how is that going to change over the course of a lap or 2 or 3 as heat really builds in these cars. A couple things to watch for. Hayward talked about the difference between the bike motor Suzuki 600s like Cal Stewart has versus the snowmobile power plant, this 593 HO motor that James Weida has, as well as a few others. And the difference is those two-stroke motors are going to take a little longer to come in sometimes because you got to get the heat right in the pipe to get that peak power. And that'll be what's interesting between them is, can Weida, and as well as a few others like Keith Jocelyn, can they get off to that strong start with a cold motor up against Cal Stewart and Jason Martin, who are running in those bike motors?
One of the cool things, if you listen, obviously with the bike motors, it's exactly how you would expect the sound. If you haven't heard how they have to drive these two-stroke engines with the centrifugal clutch, you'll literally, as they're braking and getting into corners, you hear them blipping the throttle to keep that clutch spun up to the engagement point so that they can launch out of the corner with the same kind of acceleration as the bike motors, and it's a really fascinating thing to listen to.
Oh, it is. These bike motors are just absolute screamers down these long straightaways. And the two-strokes have a very unique sound, as Hayward talked about. It's got a very single-tone steady because of those clutches. It is a belt clutch system like a snowmobile would be, which means they also have really good torque coming off of some of the corners. And with the HO motors now, they finally have a lot of torque. That top end, though, Cal Stewart's Suzuki bike motor is such a screamer in a straight line, and he focuses on aero. That car is as slippery as anything in this field. Cal's got the trap speed. If he can get the run off the corners, he's going to be very tough to catch. Yeah,
it's going to be really crucial for somebody to get in front of him early here and maybe back him off coming out of these like Oak Tree in particular, onto that back straight. Let's take you through this field. 9 cars, and at the back of the field, and it's partly because he had an issue in qualifying. Jack Walbron making his 31st start in the runoffs out of St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Louis region in the Mitchell Racing Services Scorpion Suzuki, and he should be fun to watch coming through the back of the field here. Starting in the 8th spot, his 5th runoff start, the number 15 of Robert Gray out of Yorktown Heights, New York region in the GMR Corp and Mitchell Racing Services. Novacar Suzuki. Then starting in the 7th spot is the 86 of George Bugg, and he is out of Tony, Alabama in the TVR region, Tennessee Valley region. Another Mitchell Racing Services Novacar Suzuki. Starting in the 6th spot, 22nd runoff start for the 92 of Dave Lapham out of Commerce Township, Michigan, New York region. The Hoosier QRE Mitchell Racing Services Novacar. Starting in the 5th spot, 15th runoff start for the number 58 of Corey McLeod out of Charlotte, North Carolina, Central Carolina region in the Animal Health and Wellness of North Carolina. Red Devil, the lone Red Devil in the Aero Rotax powered car. Starting in the 4th spot, the number 55, 5th runoff start for Keith Jocelyn, you were talking about, Larry, out of Grand Island, New York, Western New York region in the ASI Signage Innovation Scorpion. That is one of the Rotax engines. Starting 3rd spot, the number 78, his 4th runoff start. Did not finish last year for Jason Martin after a good qualifying run. He's got unfinished business here. Jason Martin out of River Grove, Illinois, Chicago region in his Novacar Suzuki. Your front row outside, making his 15th runoff start. Last year's pole sitter, James Weida out of West Lafayette, Indiana region in the Weida Apartments Formula X1 Scorpion Rotax, and the pole we've talked about, his 13th runoff start, the 07 of Calvin Stewart out of Novi, Michigan, Detroit region in that Novacar J10 Suzuki. This is Calvin's 3rd Tire Rack Pole Award. He got the gold medal back in the 2015 race we had at Daytona, and in that one, you talked about trimmed out and everything up in the banking, and that's how he was able to put that one together. It's going to be interesting. I talk about guys that have some unfinished business. James Weida here was pole last year, right, and had a diffuser come loose in the wet and ended up with multiple spins out there. Yeah. And so he wants a nice, clean run to show what he could really do. And as you can see again, Calvin Stewart, a 3rd Tire Rack Pole Award.
Weida and Stewart both want to get this race in this sunshine because neither one of them enjoyed last year in that rain. They struggled. Stewart was on the wrong tire. You talked about Weida and his issues. These guys are saying this is what they want, a fair, straight-up fight. And I'm looking for Keith Jocelyn was very fast at at Watkins Glen this year at the Super Tour. For a moment, even had a track record. He didn't get the qualifying session he wanted. His engine builder has been back here this week working on him. Keep your eye out for Jocelyn in that 4th spot to maybe come to the front.
All right, we are queuing up here again, the run for the gold in Formula 600, and it is a 15-lapper. And here we go. Bringing him up is Calvin Stewart and James Weida on that front row, waiting for the green flag to fly. There is an acceleration zone. Once they get in there, that is when this race, and there it is, we're green. Stewart, what a leap he got, jumps into position, and a nice move. You talked about it, Jocelyn from the outside. He may even be in a position, if he can ramp the outside here, to move up into that 2nd spot, and he's going to give it a go.
Yeah, not a great start for
Oh, and a
Weida in
wiggle.
the 2nd spot. Look at 3 wide.
This is maybe the only class where they'll fit like that. And down we go. And Calvin Stewart is in the lead. And it is still the 78 of Jason Martin. Got a great start. And look at Calvin Stewart defending. He knew Martin got a run and has to move way over. And Martin going to try and ramp the outside here. He makes it work. He's into the lead. And we talked about it, Larry. Somebody needed to get in front of Calvin Stewart. Looks like that there might be a little bit. No, it's not. I thought there was some damage in the back of Calvin's car. What a move by Jason Martin for 3rd.
Yeah, unbelievable. He's feeling comfortable on those cold tires. Cal Stewart's a little bit cautious, and maybe Cal knows he's got the better straight line speed, and he can do this. Now look at, though, again, I mentioned Jocelyn. He and Weida right there sitting in 3rd and 4th have the same builder, Mel Winnie, who works on both of these 2 cars. Both of them are going to have very equal power coming off of these corners, but they've got to watch out for the 2 bike motors, especially for Jason Martin, who just jumped out in front. Everybody said, I'm going to go right around the outside, entering the snake, and off he goes. Now watch the trap speed of Cal Stewart reel him in.
Yeah, it's watch this now and see what he's able to do. But I'll tell you what, Jason Martin got a nice run out of Oak Tree, and that might be a little bit too much ground for Calvin Stewart to be able to make up. You can see how much he closed up here, but it's not going to be enough. And here comes Weida, the number 22, down to the inside and makes the move, gets back around Keith Jocelyn and up into that 3rd spot. Jocelyn in 4th here, and down through the roller coaster we go. And again, really solid run through the roller coaster by Jason Martin, and Weida all over the back of Calvin Stewart. Calvin, the little wide there down through that really crucial final hog pen turn.
Yeah, really, Cal tentative this morning.
Yeah.
A little bit tentative through the opening couple of corners, and again, his first trip down the roller coaster, but look at the speed down that front straight as he just pulls away from Weida. And again, I'm waiting for Weida's motor to really come into its full song as this race gets going, but Cal knows it in the straight lines, his advantage. They also know this is going to be a long race. I think they all know that they're going to have a chance at this, so nobody really pushing much except for, of course, Jason Martin, who just said, I'm going to see how far out I can go before everybody else gets into their rhythm.
Yeah, Jason just ran a 2:05.4. Calvin Stewart, your pole sitter, at 2:06.8. That's almost a second quicker, and it's showing. And you watch Jason Martin, watching him break down into turn 1, that car was dancing. I mean, he is on the absolute edge. He wants to make a statement and get away here. And James Weida is right now Jason Martin's best friend because he is occupying Calvin Stewart. And Calvin is, you can see him looking in his mirrors constantly, and that's exactly what Jason Martin wants to have happen.
2 laps through turn 4 for Cal Stewart, both times super slow, and one time it cost him when Martin get around, the other time he's able to hold Weida behind him. But let's see if they get to the back straight. For Cal Stewart, though, in that opening lap, he was 142 miles an hour in the trap speed. No one else more than 136. 6 miles an hour is a massive difference in the straight line speed. Again, watch this to see if Cal gets up underneath. I don't know if he's got quite the run to catch up to Martin on this, but he's going to make up some pretty good ground as we get a good shot in the back there of Lapham and Corey McLeod.
And you can see Lapham back there in the 5th spot. Most everybody trying to stay as off the curbs as much as possible. And here comes Cal, just not quite enough here. 143 miles per hour in that car. In these cars, that's just insanely fast. And he made up a lot of ground. But again, Jason Martin just dropping the hammer as soon as you get into the twisty bits where a little bit of downforce is going to help, and it's paying big dividends here. And here is Corey McLeod, Corey McLeod, and he is your Sunoco 260 Tuesday winner in that number 58. Fun promotion by Sunoco to promote their 260 racing fuel. In Tuesday's qualifying in each class, the driver whose time in qualifying after the dot was closest to 260 gets a nice bundle of fuel from the folks at Sunoco. And again, you see Calvin make up a lot of ground down that straight, and then the minute they get into the braking area and now into the twisty bits, Jason Martin eases away. This time, no, not as much. So maybe Cal had you started with a little lower tire pressure, and it's just taking him a little time to get those tires to come in.
That's a great point. Yeah, he easily could be playing the long game with the car setup, knowing I need a car that's under me in lap 14 and 15. He's willing to give up some at the start with that tire pressure. Jason, on the other hand, may have gone more aggressive with it. We'll see if that plays out. And I'm still waiting for Weida to make his statement here. We saw this a couple years ago at Road America in 2020. I think he might have started on pole that week, and he faded way back at the end of the race. If that race that year was one more lap, he might have won that thing, because about halfway through, he just kicked it into a different gear, pun intended, because he has no different gears in that car. But he may be doing the same thing here, just biding his time. He knows he's only just about a second or so behind Jason. He might just be waiting for that and for Cal.
Ooh.
Yep.
Just going to say, Jason Martin there, a little bit too much speed maybe, and got up on that curbing and slowed up his run out of Oak Tree. And now Calvin very, very close. And with that top end, at this point, right about here, we should see him pop. He's going to go for it. Is he going to be able to outbrake Jason Martin? He's clear of Martin. Martin not going easily. Martin trying to out-deep him. He's got position side by side down through the roller coaster, still side by side. And now Martin giving Calvin Stewart just enough room, but Calvin not going to be able to make that pass, and that has brought Weida right into this. And again, Jason Martin down through Hogpen has enough of a move here to get going, but let's take a look at this right now. This is how close it is, and it might be this close down into turn one at this stage here, Larry.
Watch that lock up on that right front for Jason, and I think he knew. Well, here you go. Now the pass is going to be back to Cal down the front straight.
So Cal into the lead, and you can see Jason now, he likes a lot later turn in here and then be able to really roll speed. Back end snaps out. A great save by Jason Martin. And now this is going to be the game of chess begins.
Well, I was telling you, these cars have to be driven a little bit of slip angle. They are a solid
Look at
axle.
Martin.
Wow.
He got a great run, Larry, through three dives into left hook and then got it woe down. And look at Weida. There was a touch between he and Calvin.
Wow, Weida thought maybe there was going to be an opportunity for him, as Martin, I think, knows he's got the best handling car in the front three right now, and he's using that through all of the twisty bits. A little bit of slide in one, no problem. Goes through three, gets underneath Cal, knows he's going to be able to brake later and turn in later. Awesome stuff, and he knows he's going to be under pressure in a minute when they get to the back straight again, which means you're going to be seeing Jocelyn and Weida closing back up again, because look at that. With all this fighting, Keith Jocelyn has closed right in on the front three.
I'll tell you what, they're driving like there's 2 laps left, not 12. This has been spectacular here, and it's just fascinating to watch these guys. And this time, Calvin a lot closer, and again, Martin gets that snap out, and he may not even lift, but it does scrub just a little bit of speed.
Yeah.
And you can't let Calvin get any opportunity like that.
That might be a great opportunity for Calvin, because the last time by, he couldn't quite make the full pass, but that exit for Jason, a little bit rough. Cal, we know, has got the trap speed. Let's see if Jason tries to outbrake him or just concedes this time around. Looks like he's just going to concede, but pressure.
Yeah, and Calvin just had too much speed. Jason, look, and I thought he was going off track, and he just squared up down into the roller coaster. Position on the outside. If he can stay here, he's got the inside again. But Calvin, a little bit too much roll speed. And now Martin squares it up again, just trying to do anything he can, because he does not want to let Calvin build up a big enough lead where he can't get to him in the corners here. And look at Calvin just ease away.
Wow.
Every 100 feet or so, he gains about a car length here. But under braking, here comes Martin again.
Yeah, make a note of that when we get down to the last lap. If it's these kind of positions, how fast Calvin is in a straight line coming up a hog pen.
And look at Martin square up underneath him. He just has such great grip and roll speed. Calvin has position here, but watch Martin here. He's going to square up underneath, drop the hammer. Calvin's going to try and come over. Martin having none of it. There was barely room for a car to go through, and Martin took it. And these cars dicing, moving, slashing. Weida there. And right now, I think Keith Jocelyn is watching this going, I can't believe what I'm seeing in front of me right now.
He's loving it, because he's right in the mix as these guys keep fighting. And Jason Martin is so aggressive this morning. It is incredible. He's pressuring Cal. Cal historically has had the fast straight line speed. He's had the fast lap times. Sometimes they say he makes a mistake here and there. Cal doing a great job of knowing his strengths right now is the straightaways. And if Jason goes underneath him, he's giving him enough room, letting him have this moment. But then he knows he's got the back straight, and he knows as long as he's close coming down Hog Pen, he's got a shot to win at the stripe. So watch Cal be maybe a little bit of patient here. Let Jason be aggressive, but now look at Weida.
Weida is in Calvin's draft, but again, watch Calvin pull away. But everything that happened there, I don't know that this time Calvin's going to be close enough to do anything. At least he's going to try it. He'll show the nose, and maybe this time he said, yep, just not close enough. He's thinking about it. He goes for it, but wow, what a move by Calvin. But watch, this is where Martin squared up, and he does it again. Right up the outside, trying to round the corner. This time, gets it done even sooner, and that's going to give him a better line here down through Hog Pen. Ooh, a little bit of a slide there, but again, Martin on the hammer. But here comes Calvin, and Martin all over the track trying to not give opportunity, and Calvin is through. And again, Weida is watching this unfold. And again, watch Calvin. He tends to turn in a little early here into one, and Martin dancing on the brakes, uses that more wide line, Larry, and see if he can dive down underneath again, and he does. But Calvin, good roll speed this time, and it looks like he's got position again.
Yeah, oh my goodness. Jason Martin is so confident in that car right now. He's moving in every single time Calvin hits the brakes. He knows he's got him, whether it's going to start a roller coaster, he's taking a wide entry so he can get that just awesome shot down the roller coaster. And every time they go in through 3, he's ducking inside before they get to 4. Jason is so confident under braking and turn in right now.
Just doing an incredible job. And,
George
the
Bug.
86, George Bug.
Oh, and he's high-centered.
He is. He's not going to go anywhere. Oh, he's going to be beside himself right now because he kept it running. But this is going to be really sketchy. I would think he's on the track, so that's going to be a caution for sure. And for Keith Joslin, he'll be delighted with that because it's going to bring him right back into this. But wow, what a battle we are seeing here. And, you know, the one thing that would really help Jason Martin is when they get into those that turn 3-4 complex, if he can affect Calvin enough to let James Weida dive underneath him somewhere, that would be great. But that's all going to be put on pause. It is now a full course caution. And you know what? I'm not so sure that Jason Martin's not going to be happy with that, because that if he's pushing these tires hard, and this could give him a chance to cool those tires off and be in attack mode again.
This will be fascinating restart when we get to it. And this should be a pretty darn quick clear of this incident. But yeah, on a restart, now he gets to control where Cal was able to control the start of the race. It's going to be Jason's control, and he's going to already have the advantage going into 1. He thinks he will, at least. And but I think it's still going to come down to how does he manage the top of the roller coaster as we get to the late laps in this race. See if everybody cools down. Tires get cooled a little bit. Motors, if you're in the 2-strokes, they're going to cool just a little bit. Those guys are going to have to work to kind of keep some power, maybe a little brake drag to keep these things warm before we restart this thing.
Yeah, it's going to be fascinating as we are under full course caution here. We're going to take a moment, step away, and let you learn a little bit more about some of the phenomenal partners that you simply have to be able to put on a race of this significance. We'll be right back.
Okay, so pretend this is your race car. It's on the trailer, on the way home after a day at the track. And say you have an accident. Ouch! But at least your truck's insurance will pay for another one? Yeah, not so fast. Your standard insurance probably won't pay to replace your car. That's true whether it's in the trailer, in the paddock, in the garage, or in the repair shop. If you want to be covered for the whole value of your race car, you need guaranteed value coverage from Hagerty. We agree on an accurate value up front, and in the event of a covered total loss anywhere off the track, we pay that amount. You'll be protected in storage, in transit, in the paddock, or a repair shop against collision, fire, theft, no matter what or where you race. All for less per year than you spend on a set of racing tires. Hagerty, let's drive together.
A car like this shouldn't exist. Something this big, this luxurious, shouldn't move like a Mazda. And yet, it does.
Oh my God, it sounds epic as well. This car is an SUV with bragging rights.
The 3-row Mazda CX-90.
And welcome back, everybody, as we are under caution, continuing here in the run to the gold in Formula 600. Want to say a big, big thank you to Mazda and to Sport Durst Mazda in Durham, North Carolina, for providing these absolutely beautiful pace and safety vehicles that we have as this field under control. Wanted to quickly get to this because I think we're going to be going green pretty fast. We talked earlier about how Calvin looked really tentative on cold tires, that maybe he started with a little lower pressure, and Jason Martin was able to go right away. Now under this caution, those tires are going to cool, the pressures are going to drop. Could we see a repeat here?
Yeah, we definitely could, and I think Jason's going to want to try and really go fast through the first couple corners and see if he can put a little gap, but I'm sure Weida is aware of how Calvin was on those opening laps, and Weida's the one you got to watch for to be aggressive here, but starting on this restart behind Calvin Stewart.
And here's the 55, again, of Keith Joslin, and he gets a little bit of an opportunity. He lost touch with that lead group a bit. Now we'll see what he's going to be able to do. Dave Lapham there in the 5th spot, McLeod in 6th, Gray in 7th. Jack Walbron has just been not able to find the speed right now, and I know that's frustrating him. Keith Johnson, by the way, was our Hawk Performance Breakthrough winner, and what that means, it's a special award from the folks at Hawk Brake, and what it does is from Tuesday to Wednesday, it's presented on Wednesday, whoever makes the biggest gain in terms of position between those 2 days gets that Hawk Breakthrough Award, and it's taken a long time to get George Bugg off of that high side. Yeah. He was clearly pretty much embedded there.
I think it looks like he's still in the car and trying to just get it rolled back on the track so we can just get going again. Hopefully he does. You talked about Jack Walbron, his 31st runoff start. He is definitely the veteran of this class, but everyone in here really is a veteran, as that looks like George right there going through 3. That's a good sign that maybe we'll be going to green again. David Lappin, he's in his 22nd runoff start. He's been in this class for a while. I think he ran World Challenge back in the 90s, did Lappin?
Absolutely did.
That guy's been around trying everything. He's hoping to find his speed this week. You got Weida's in his 15th start. Corey McLeod's in his 15th start. I mean, there's a lot of veterans here. No one a runoffs rookie this week. I don't think no one even an F600 rookie.
Yeah, absolutely agree, and we're getting word we might just be going green. It would be a late off on those lights, but everybody's instructed if the lights go out, we're going green. We'd sure love to see the racing we've had thus far, Larry. We want to see them get back to it because it has been, and we are lights out on the safety car as we are going to complete lap number 7 here. So lots of racing yet to go as this field comes down. And remember, when the green flag flies, the track is green. So no matter where you are, you can go racing. And here we go, leading him to the line, Jason Martin. And are we going to see a repeat of what we saw at the start here? We're green again. There we go. And Weida immediately tried to get down Calvin. Stewart gets a nice launch here. And this is a really good restart for Calvin. And look at him drive right by. But again, Jason Martin goes, all right, I'm going to, and big wiggle under braking, but that doesn't slow him down. Look at the roll speed once again. Martin dives to the inside, but Calvin Stewart rounded it up beautifully that time and is going to lead, but watch this counter move here. Here he comes again. Calvin feints over, trying to dissuade him, and he's going to shallow it up right here. So immediately, look at that move by Jason Martin trying to cover, and Calvin Stewart, he's obviously been paying attention, but look at this, a try in the move, and here comes Weida up on the inside. Martin hadn't seen anybody come up inside. Weida is through.
Yeah, Weida, opportunity there as finally Calvin was taking notes on the opening laps and is starting to see the same moves from Jason Martin. He finally gets in front and keeps Martin behind him just enough for Weida to come through and get by Martin. So now Martin shuffled back to 3rd for the first time really going through the S's that we've seen. Weida maybe finally found his groove. I'll tell you what, Cal Stewart's not just a slippery car, that thing's got motor.
It really does. But look at Weida up and around the outside. That's a roundup move, slices across, takes the lead, slows up Fish. Here comes Martin down to the inside. Calvin Stewart now slides into 3rd. And Keith Joslin with a potential opportunity because for the first time, Calvin was really off pace coming out of Oak Tree.
I wonder if that'd been a side-by-side move with Weida. Got Calvin mixed up and actually was in the wrong gear. Remember, he's got a gearbox in that bike motor. He might have been in the wrong gear. So slow. Martin able to go around him. Now Jocelyn on his tail and nothing for speed there for Cal Stewart, the pole sitter, on this time around. But Cal knows he's got the legs. He's got the horsepower. Let's see how close he can get down the front straight as Weida leads for the first time.
Yeah, and I would think here we're going to see a pretty aggressive attempt by Jason Martin. He doesn't want to slow them both up, but I think he knows he's a little quicker, or at least he believes he is.
I'm not so sure about that way to get to the speed. We have not seen the true speed of Weida yet through this stuff because he's just sitting back and watching Cal Stewart and watching Jason Martin duke it out. Let's see what Weida can do now on the inside going into one.
Yeah, and like I said, I think Martin thinks he's quicker and would like to lead and have Weida as that buffer. But Weida is going to, as you said, got his own thoughts on this and has just been brilliant on this restart lap here and leading Martin as they head into,
let's lap him.
That is Lapham from the 5th spot has had an off, and he's sort of down in a little gully right there. And good deal, gets it, keeps it running, and able to get it back on track. But he's going to drop down the order here. But here we go, and these two guys right now they are doing everything they can to try and make a break and not let Calvin Stewart get close enough. And there you see Martin popping, looking, hunting, and not able to do anything right now. And I think that's probably the better thing, because if they got side by side through those S's, they would have slowed up and let Calvin get a bit more of a run on him here.
Jason is so aggressive, but that was just a move to fill the mirror, just to show Weida that he's here. But that car, it looks twitchy. I think it's what he likes. I think he's using the fast hands, sort of go-kart like. We talk about these things being in a way similar, that they both have that spinning pipe axle across the back, that you need a little bit of movement in these things to make them move around and make them drive. Jason's using that. He's just got that thing all twitched up, where you look at Weida, much more stable looking.
And I was going to say, I thought Martin might make a little move even sooner than he might actually get a tow, because he doesn't want to give Calvin the opportunity to drive by. And that was almost as effective as a block as it was. And now, look at that. Man, he is absolutely on the edge. I think you're right. I think this guy's happy loose.
Yeah, he really is. Every single corner, every time he turns the wheel, you watch him break into one every time. We talk about it. Maybe he's about to lose it. I think that's just the way the car's handling right now. And you talk about that smart move for him coming down the back straight, for Martin to get ahead of Weida and put Weida between Martin and Stewart. Knowing Stewart's coming, let's go ahead and put Weida between us so I don't have to worry as much. Let Calvin go through Weida to get to Jason. I think it's a smart move.
Very savvy move, and just fun to watch how Jason Martin not only has that loose car. I said he was happy loose, but he's also what I've called over the years fast loose.
Yeah.
And you can be quick with a car that that has a lot of rotation. And believe me, folks, we talked about it. This on the short wheelbase, these things start with a lot of rotation, and he is just absolutely wheeling it here. And one of the things that I love about these cars, and for anybody who's watching this and seeing these cars for the first time, how quickly they change direction.
Yes, and you watch them, and they have moving suspension. You've got a actual control arm front suspension. You've got this multi-link sort of setup across the back, and they are controlled, or at least their rates and their amount they move by these small little pucks that are essentially their entire spring suspension. And you can run different durometers in them, so you can run a little softer to get more chassis movement, a little bit firmer to hold them together a little bit. Jason Martin's car looks like it's pretty soft right now. You watch that thing moving around and climbing. Reminds me a little bit of like how Clint McMahon was driving a couple years ago, dominated in this class. Used to climb curbs, and the car would kind of lift coming off the corners, and that's what he liked. He liked a car that he could really drive into the corner and get it moving around. That's what Jason Martin's got right now. But look at this run for Weida off of Oak Tree.
Yeah, Martin that time did not get a great run into and through Oak Tree, and that's going to have Weida right there. And again, Weida's looking in his mirrors, and if Calvin comes up with a big head of steam, you can see it right there, Weida moving over. And again, I think that was more that if Calvin really came, he was going to drift out more because he could say, no, I had a tow, that wasn't a block, or anything like that. And that's just savvy racecraft. And as we've talked about, right now, Weida is Jason Martin's best buddy out there right now, because he's keeping Calvin Stewart behind him. But Weida is now, it's like you talked about, that car is coming in right now. It looks fast.
Yes, it really is. But you watch Jason Martin, and he's going with the late apex everywhere. He's doing it into one. He's happy with the left side of the track, diving all the way around and trying to get the exit coming out of one. You watch, he's doing it down roller coaster. He's setting up very, very wide. And I'm wondering if that's the one come a last lap. He's going to leave himself potentially vulnerable. Well, he's okay going side by side, but look at as I say it, he's loving the side by side stuff.
Yeah, and you're right. He is squaring up corners with late apex everywhere and getting great runs as a result. But it does open the door up to somebody who's close. You can see how late he turns in there, and Weida, even though he really wasn't close enough to do it, when you see somebody with that late turn in, sometimes just like, I just got to do something here. And away they go. And I'll tell you, these are fun through the climbing S's, but I like these cars even more in the Snake here.
Oh,
because it's a lot tighter, and the change of direction, Larry, is exceptional.
Oh, it is amazing just watching them kind of just twitch back and forth as they go up the climbing S's, and they just sort of keep bouncing, and then you see the hands moving to try and catch it just a little bit as that axle wants to constantly move. Oh, this is just amazing stuff.
And Martin is fearless through South Bend, turn 10.
Look at that.
Big wiggle there, and he saves it and gets on that hammer, bounces over those curbs, and he is on the absolute edge. Sometimes, we talk about driving 10-tenths. I think he's at 11 or 12 tenths.
Yeah, watch his hands. Look at the hands as he comes into Oak Tree here, and you see him catching it, pitching it, holding it, and still gets a good exit.
Just remarkable. And here we go again down a roller coaster. And somehow with all of that, Larry, he gets just enough of a run to be able to hold off Weida.
Yep, and then there's that late apex. He wants to get that drive run down the roller coaster and get the speed before they get down towards Hog Pen. I tell you, 2 years ago, we saw a duel between, it was Ryan Mayfield and Sven DeVries in Indianapolis. Those two swap positions every single lap. That's kind of what's going on here. This is the excitement that this class is bringing in these cars that are very similar size, and they race well. They just love to dice. They're small. They can occupy all sorts of track positions because they're so small. It is so much fun.
And here we're seeing David Lapham has got to the back, I think, of a Walbrand, and trying to get a draft here, trying to make a move around, and just not quite close enough here. And this is for that 7th spot. And look at this. He's going to try the roundup here. Beautiful move by Lapham. And as I said, Jack Walbrand has just been struggling with speed this entire event. And we know his experience, but just not quite enough. Look at this. We have Weida has taken that lead away.
Yeah, but he did in the area of the track where Jason has been quicker than everybody. But I think we're going to catch a little bit of replay here and see how he did it.
Let's watch it right here.
Yeah, on that inside, going into NASCAR. And he did the position that Jason's been trying, but look at the exit. I'll bet you Weida blocks just a little bit. No, Martin just didn't quite get the exit. Yep. Interesting, Martin for the first time showing a little bit of patience.
Yeah. Yeah, he has. It's been just outright hustle for him thus far here, as we are now working lap 12 of 15. And Weida, and he's actually got a little bit of a margin here now. He spins. He spun. Look at how quick that thing snaps around. And he was hoping to do a snap spin and get on, but now he's in that grass. Oh my goodness! Come on, buddy, get it going just enough. But as he does that. Is that Jocelyn who just went by?
I think it is, yep.
And so he's lost spot. Watch it again here, Larry.
Yeah, he turns out. I can't tell if he caught maybe a little bit of apex curve that starts him to go around, but he certainly gets around to that exit on the yellow and blue striping, and it just doesn't have the grip. And unfortunately, that's going to take one of those horses out of that 3-horse race and get us down to 2.
And, it's also part of that is, with that centrifugal clutch, when it engages, it just goes. And if you just miss that timing a little bit, that kind of thing can happen.
And so the new motors they've started running in about the last 2 years, it's a 593 HO. It's actually got a little bit more grunt, a little more torque than they ever had before, and that might be the point of where it shows. You get a little torque if you catch a curb, you catch that little slippery yellow curbing on the way out. Yep. That extra torque might have actually caused them. And now we've got this mano-a-mano with Jason Martin and Cal Stewart, and we know they have wildly different strengths. How do those two strengths play out? Is Cal just going to wait and play his cards at the end as we've got about 2 laps to go, or is he going to be as aggressive as he was early in the race?
It's interesting to watch Jason Martin that, he does the late apexes. Whoa, big slide there, but he was able to catch it. But he missed the apex just a little bit. But I tell you what, he is just fearless and everything. And I just wanted to mention to people that if you watch the runoffs, but you don't see a lot of other SCCA competition. This class did used to be called Formula 500 or F5, and really nothing's changed other than so many of the engines were now running near that 600 cc capacity. They just sort of said, well, let's just accept it. So that's why same thing. And same caliber of racing. And
so interesting as we watch this develop now. Look at all the movement that Martin, we've been talking about the whole race. I don't know how well his tires are holding up at this point. He's been doing this now, other than the 2 laps we did under yellow. He has been dancing that thing and just flinging it, and I'm starting to wonder if that's catching up to him. The sun's been out since about 7:15 this morning, and this track is getting warm, and I wonder if his tires are starting to see a little bit of grain on them. See if Cal can see that. in the position he's at, he's got a good look at him right now.
Really good look at him. And right up there, but here, oh, and again, boy, his car control, he's playing pitch and catch out there right now. And, it's great when you can catch it, but sometimes that's a lot of risk here. And here's Keith Jocelyn, up into third here. Great run for him. Again, in only his 5th runoff, doing a nice job.
Yeah, and after having a really tough qualifying week, he's happy to be in the position. Look at the motor, and look at this. Before the stripe, Cal was ahead. Take a mental note of that one because that's where you need to be when it comes to the checker.
And now Calvin, he turns in early here, and this is where Jason squares it up, gets to the throttle early, knifes down to the inside. This time, Calvin Stewart, does he have position on the inside? Jason looks and says, yeah, he does. So I'm going to have to, but watch this. Jason's going to square it. Calvin is going to try and pitch down underneath, and Jason again says, nope, you gave me enough room for the kind of car he's driving, that Nova car, and a couple pieces of paper, and said that's enough.
Yeah, I said Jason knows he's planting better power coming off of corners, and he's driving it that way. And I talked about how soft the chassis looks, that he's using that to his advantage. Look at he squares it up, plants, and goes. And Cal looked for a minute to block it. Oh, okay, I see the red card there. I'm just going to hold off and let him do his thing because, again, Cal knows he's got the trap speed.
Yeah, and you brought up a really good point. Calvin Stewart led at the line.
Yep.
And that's going to be crucial. So Martin knows he has got to do something really spectacular in that next lap. Not this one. It would be good here too, but something spectacular through that roller coaster if he leads to the roller coaster.
And we've seen it a couple times. Even when they went down through roller coaster to hog pen side by side, Cal's got the grunt. That motor goes. So Jason's got to figure out some way to get Cal off his game so much where Cal maybe misses an apex so bad, or maybe slides out a little bit, maybe even try to pressure Cal into being in the wrong gear, something to throw him off, because Cal's got an advantage, and you can see the speed advantage pressuring Martin now coming to the top of the roller coaster.
Love hearing those downshifts with these bike engines, and Martin there a little wide of the apex. And this is as close as Cal has been as they've come down, and it was because Martin there just missed that apex a little bit, and now
Weida
gasses it here. And we got somebody limping along here.
I think that's Weida.
Oh my goodness! After being so fast and competitive early, and here we go, and he did it again. There's the line. So he would lead as we now are on our final lap.
Yeah.
And what is Jason Martin going to be able to do to defend that outright top end?
Yeah.
He's going to have to pull some miracles off here, I think.
He is showing a lot of different hands, and trust me, I played a little poker last night. I know you got to be careful. You got to hold something. You got to hold something, and I don't know what he's still holding. He's going to try different moves, pressuring Calvin, but it's all going to come down to the end of the back straight.
Yep.
This is just for fun at this point.
Yeah, and now look at that move. He squared it up and right back in front. Calvin protected, which meant he was really slow into the left hook. And Martin saw it, went way wide, squared up underneath, and just blew by him. And now he has got to drive one of the finest laps he ever has and do it with some racecraft when he gets to the entry to the roller coaster if he's leading there.
Yeah, maybe he was thinking he can get Cal off his game in the twisty bits. Not to be. Cal's right there as they go around South Bend. They are so fast, but even a twitch.
But look how quick he gets through South Bend and opens up an immediate 3-4 lengths on Calvin.
Right. Most critical point of the race.
You know what? He snapped sideways, and I think Cal checked up because he thought he might be going around, and that may be what he needs. Now, I was going to ask you on this long run, if he leads down here, is there some point maybe in the roller coaster he wants to overslow?
Maybe a little bit of check. Maybe going into hog pen, just a bit of extra check. Cal doesn't want to be there. Cal wants to lead down the roller coaster. And look at this.
Cal squeezes them. I don't know if they touched. If they didn't, I'm not sure how. Big rotation again. But this now is going to give Jason Martin that run that he wanted. And now he's got to really do something here through hog pen. It's all about this. Calvin Stewart a little wide. He got a little sideways. But look at the roll speed he has. Calvin Stewart, he's got the pace, and you can see Martin defending. Nothing he can do. Calvin Stewart comes up, and it's going to be Calvin Stewart in the drag race and getting another gold medal, his second in runoffs competition. But one of the finest drives I have seen in a long time out of Jason Martin to be able to fend him off that much. And Keith Jocelyn coming through into third. I'm downright winded.
Oh my goodness, these guys. I mean, Jocelyn's got to be winded. I can't wait to hear from both these guys. They put on one heck of a show. They might have touched going into roller coaster that last
think
lap.
they did.
But I tell you what, those two super respectful driving. That was as exciting a thing as I've seen all week.
That was absolutely phenomenal. Keith Jocelyn, this is going to be his best runoff finish. And Corey McLeod, his best runoff finish. So absolutely great for these guys. Robert Gray and then David Lapham, who was up in that top 5 early and then had that spin and has fought his way back into 6th.
Yeah, you got to feel for Weida. Had
Yeah.
that big spin there coming off of Oak Tree, and then the car looks like maybe something happened on it, probably maybe around that time of that spin. So it's tough for him as he had such a good run. Jason Martin put on the show, but it's Cal Stewart showing the patience and knowing his strengths and getting it done. Cal's got a motor. He's got that thing slippery. And I'll tell you what, nobody smiles more than Cal Stewart. If you've ever met him, you will know that guy is just all about the excitement and all about that. He's going to be so joyful. I can't wait to see his interview.
Yeah, me either. But I'll tell you what, for Jason Martin, I know he'll probably be crestfallen here.
Yeah.
But that was one of the finest drives I've seen because that car car was loose.
Yeah, you're calling it a cart. He was driving
well,
it
that's
like
how
what
he was
truly
driving it.
was.
Yeah, it was loose.
Yeah.
And the fast hands, the control that he had, it was absolutely exciting. And there is a little tire mark there, a little donut. So I think there was a little rub there. And wow, what a race! Just spectacular.
Oh, it was so much fun. Oh, that was. These are why I call these races. People are like, maybe Formula cars aren't. I'm telling you, these races are spectacular. They race so close together. They're just little cars, which means they can do all sorts of things across the width of the track. And they're so fast, 144 miles an hour for Cal Stewart in a trap speed. These things are screaming.
To drive these fast, not only do you have to have just massive car control and reflex, you have to have huge bravado.
Exactly.
That's the only way to put it here, because they are just unbelievable. And here comes Calvin Stewart down and takes that position. And Hayward Wagner is on the site right off. And there is that celebration you're talking about. Let's listen in.
Oh, my goodness, that was fun. Oh.
Calvin Stewart pulling the helmet off. This is a car you put on more than you get in. Calvin has, over the years, told us that he's turned things on and off in the middle of a race without meaning to.
Woo! Praise the Lord. Thank you, Jesus. That was fun. That was fun. That was fun.
We're going to let Calvin get the gold medal on, get the hat. We'll let him stand up for a second. Guys, did you get a time margin of victory on this one?
Right now it says .112.
Margin of victory, .112. A national championship again for you, sir. How are you feeling?
Oh, man, I couldn't be happier. Praise the Lord. It was an awesome race. Weida and Jason put up an awesome fight, and we ended up winning in the end, and I just couldn't be happier. Praise the Lord.
Talk about the guy who finished behind you. To us, it looked like he had pats of butter under the car, just sliding it all over the place. What was it like trying to follow him with that car moving around like that?
Well, he was sliding a lot, and I knew that if I could just hold on till he got through all the tight stuff, that I was a little quicker in all the fast stuff, all through South Bend and up to Esses. So it was fun. It was fun watching them. It was fun driving with them. They both were really hard competitors. I have to hand it to Jason and James Weida.
Well, congratulations to you, sir. You get one more lap. Anybody you need to thank before you go?
Oh, yeah. Well, first of all, praise the Lord, from whom all blessings flow. I thank my wife, Ruth. I couldn't do it without her. My buddy Frank and Jim Frank. Hoosier Tires, thank you, Tim Gilvin. And Carbotech Brakes held up the whole race for us. I thank all the workers. Praise the Lord.
Congratulations to you, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, a second gold from his third pole, and what an entertaining race! And just some of the moves that he was trying to cover from from Jason Martin, and he was able to do it, and he had that plan, Larry.
He had a plan. He knew where his strengths were. He knew he could do it. But I'm going to tell you, no one works harder than Cal Stewart.
Yep.
He just talked about his wife and his team guy there all week long. They've been working and tweaking and adjusting all the way through the nights, every night. No one works harder than Cal. He deserves all of this.
Absolutely, he does. But I'll tell you what, the guy who finished second, we're going to get down to Hayward here. Hayward, that could have been the drive of the event with that loose car and how he was able to make it fly.
Jason Martin, there was probably a dozen times in the media room where there was just this huge gasp because we were confident. We just knew that it had been too much slide this time. It was definitely going to go around. There's no way you're going to catch it. We've got incredible footage of you coming through Oak Tree, going to opposite lock, back and forth. Is that your style? Did this car go away from you? What happened?
That's just how the car is. It slides everywhere. It's a lot like a go-kart. You just hang the back end out and catch it, and yeah, it's just the fast way around with the car. So, yeah.
Talk about this battle with Calvin. That had to be a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a ton of fun. Yeah, I was trying everything. We had a really good race up at the Cat earlier this year, and it was the same thing. 3 of us back and forth, and I had him everywhere except that straightaway, and yeah, he took advantage of it, and he got his elbows out. But yeah, we tried hard. I'm happy to just finish. Happy to get the podium. It's been 4 years of trying, so.
Well, congratulations on the silver. One of the best drives we've seen in this runoffs.
Thank you very much. Yeah, can I just say thanks to all my crew and thanks to my wife and my parents and everybody back who helps me with everything. Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Congratulations. Keith, a great job. A great job of just driving your race, staying focused, and look where you ended up.
Yeah, it's been a long summer. My goal all year was to podium this year. I was 10th, and then I was 5th, and now I made the podium. I'm really happy. I'm really excited.
Well, guys, we've seen it a million times before. First is elated, second wishes they were first, and third is just so happy to be here. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Great. Love it. So sponsorship, oh my gosh, there's so many guys I'd love to thank. Carbotech Brakes, Hoosier Tires, Mel Winnie with his engines and clutching, Mitchell Racing Services, my wife and son for supporting me and putting up with me. It's been a great season. Looking forward to next year.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. And yeah, Jason Martin is 7th in Indy 2 years ago, was his previous best finish, and now he's 2nd. And here is Calvin Stewart out on that lap of honor. But here we go for the race here. And you can see Calvin right from the drop of the green was able to use that motor to build a little gap. But Jason Martin served notice pretty early that he was going to be really racing.
He just had all the lines all over the place, and he said it. If you drive it like a go-kart, it's fast, and that's what he was doing, going inside, going outside like here, and going around 5. He says, bye, Cal, I'm good. And we saw him do that about 4 times during this race. So excited to see his aggression and his car control, which is beautiful.
I mean, look at this, how he squares up. He was confident he could put that thing anywhere he wanted and hang on to it. And it was spectacular back and forth racing. And then, you know, Stewart, that engine and that lack of downforce would give him that lead. And then again, Martin would square up. And every time,
not a replay.
This was not a replay. He tried it again, and this let Weida come up, and Weida was into the battle for a while too. It was simply amazing stuff. And here's that run, and then Weida we think a little bit too much aggression with that centrifugal clutch, and it snapped them around. And then it was down to a mano-a-mano battle, and here they came. We saw this rinse and repeat a few times. And down into the roller coaster they go. There's that little donut touch, and it was just that close. This was amazing, Larry.
Oh, it was so great. These guys, again, as these guys say, they do this every weekend at every track, and here they are on the big stage at the runoffs, and Cal just that nose ahead, that motor, that streamline, and that second championship.
As we said, 1/10 of a second was the margin of victory. And Calvin Stewart enjoying the spoils of a second runoffs gold, and just really a fascinating battle from start to finish with a caution in there. It was, we hit the reset button and it didn't affect anything. And here is a look at the unofficial results. Your medalists, Stewart with the gold, Martin and Joslin. Corey McLeod, a great run up into 4th. David Lapham, a recovery drive into 5th. Jack Walbron, a never say die effort. He just didn't have the pace here this weekend, but still up into the 6th spot. Robert Gray, really sad to see what happened to James Weida because he was going to be in that battle. And then George Bugg had that early problem and lost a lot of laps as this one unfolded. So, Larry, what a way to get things rolling here for this final Haggerty race days here at the Runoffs.
Oh, that was so exciting. Every race could be like this. We want to do this every single weekend. But Cal Stewart, I'm telling you, he works hard. He deserves this. That whole crew is going to be elated. That is awesome.
Yep, absolutely phenomenal run. Absolutely phenomenal race for all of our competitors, and we congratulate them. When it's that fun to call, we can only imagine how much fun it was to be in, and it was that. So that wraps up our coverage here at the 60th running of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs for the Run to the Gold in Formula 600. For Larry McLeod and for Hayward Wagner, I'm Greg Creamer. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed that one. We sure did enjoy bringing it to you.
Mazda's been very supportive of racers within the SCCA and all the other grassroots organizations for many, many years. Really, their support for racing and our type of racing is unmatched from any other manufacturer. They've been a great partner for many, many years.
Mazda, hands down, is the best company to work with for sports car racing. Factory support is second to none. It just feels right. You feel connected.